call the meeting to order. If you'll please rise, we'll say the pledge together. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mr. Golodai?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes, thank you. Approval of minutes, and I would entertain a motion, and that's for September 18th. So moved. Thank you, Ms. Rolladai. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Workman. Were there any corrections? Hearing none, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Golodai?
Yes.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. I'd like to welcome you all this evening. You're a great-looking group. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll just go right into our meeting, and we don't have any commendations, but we do have presentation.
We do. Our first presentation of this school year is bestowed upon Twin Oak Elementary. They brought a great group right here. So, Adam, I'll let you kind of introduce your folks, and I'll turn this little show over to you.
Yes, thank you very much. So with me this evening, we have Tiffany Miller, third grade teacher, Emmy Ward, third grade teacher, Annie Johnson, third grade teacher, Mandy Peterson, third grade teacher, and one of our wonderful community partners, Nancy Bevan from Community Roots. And so here in a minute, I'm going to ask them to come up and share some information as well. But we're going to go ahead and pull up this presentation. All right, so thank you for the opportunity to share some updates in regard to our outdoor education opportunities at Twin Oak. It was 2 years ago that we got to present kind of the starting point where we were at. And at the time, our third graders were planting seedlings, and we had purchased some indoor grow lights as well that we were utilizing. This evening, we thought we would share some of the updates as well as some of the student opportunities and how we've expanded our outdoor education. I've said it before and I'll say it again, agriculture and outdoor education is big business. It's an $11 billion generating revenue system for Ohio. Without us providing opportunities for students to get their hands dirty and experience that potential career pathway, I believe we would be doing them a disservice. So, in addition, it allows our students too to become introduced to new and nutritious foods, ultimately serving their well-being. I'm going to read a quote here, and this was from a report from the University of Wisconsin. Yes, I know the Badgers. Students that participated in outdoor education opportunities at school had increased standardized test scores, enhanced attitude about school, improved in school student behavior, improved attendance, and overall enhanced student achievement when students learn in and about nature. So, as I said before, we have several of our all of our third grade teachers here, and Nancy Bevan from the Community Roots program to share a little bit about our outdoor education opportunities.
All right, so I'm just going to talk about our partnership with OSU and SNAP-Ed. We had Tanner Cooper Reeser come into our classrooms and kind of make that connection with what we were growing in the garden to how it fits into a healthy eating lifestyle. And he would bring in snacks, and many times we would connect that with what we were doing in the garden. And with Tanner, we were able to write and win a grant for an additional garden bed, mulch, and some adjustable grow lights so that we could extend our growing season a little bit. And then, so there's a picture of our adjustable grow lights that we have grown. And so, because we are really constrained by that time, you know, you have a little bit of, we can get a quick thing at the, a little bit in the beginning and some at the end. And so we've been doing a lot of planting our seedlings inside. And years ago, we shared about how third graders are doing how we do a holiday shop every year, how they study economics and they make items to sell at our school holiday shop. And we still do that project. And for the first time this year, we grew basil and we potted it, and then we were able to sell it at our holiday shop. And so that was a really exciting addition. And we were able to buy a brand new, and so with the money we were able to buy a brand new equipment for the playground, one of those 9 square in the air games we were able to buy for the playground. So it was a great.
So with that grant that we were rewarded, the garden bed is what we wanted. We really want to expand so that every classroom has a garden bed, or that every grade has a garden bed, so they each can participate at every grade level has life standards to be able to participate in it. And so this was one of the beds that Tanner was able to help us with the grant that we were able to purchase. This is my husband and daughter, who are local community members, helping also build this garden bed as one of our community connections. And then also we have New Life has helped this year as well to paint we have picnic tables that are out there, and also going to help us kind of like continue having these volunteers to help us continue building things. So as Mandy was saying in regards to like our growing season is so short, the summertime, obviously we're not there. And so we think ahead to what the third graders kind of like think ahead of what they would like to plan and plant. So this is last year's third graders that were harvesting what the previous year's third graders had planted. Those are their turnips that they selected, and they tasted them raw. They tasted the greens raw, and then we took it home and we each made something out of those so that they could share and try it in another way. Maybe I don't like it raw, but maybe I like it this way. And so those are the garden beds there that we had planted some leafy greens and some turnips.
So this year, my class, we used the things that the classes from last year had planted, and we had a couple harvest days. So the first day we went out and we harvested the cherry tomatoes and basil, and then I brought some garlic and some Italian seasoning, and I brought my Instapot because I thought, well, we can do this all together. So we put everything in the morning. They came back from lunch and they're like, "It's smelling here." And so then I took my immersion blender and let the kids blend it up. We talked about how this tastes different from maybe the pasta sauce that you would get in the store. There's obviously some ingredients missing. This is a lot fresher as well, and we used the cherry tomatoes, which are sweeter. So we just talked about the differences there. I brought pasta, and we tried it on the pasta, and we talked, like, what would make it different? What could we add to maybe make it taste a little bit more like the pasta sauce that they would get from Kroger? But it was fun just to like see how they're like, oh, like these are the things that go in that sauce, and then I can make this at home as well. And then these little girls down here, we planted some flowers, zinnias in the garden as well, and they have just gone crazy, and so we took some into the office to have some fresh flowers in the office. And then the next day, the next harvest day, we harvested some sweet potatoes. So Mrs. Peterson's class last year wanted to try just a little bit of a different kind of, plant to harvest, since they grow under the ground. And so we were actually outside just observing the ecosystem, and we noticed that the sweet potatoes were ready. So we harvested those, and they were definitely different shape than what you would get at Kroger. But they were excited to see them. They were big, and a large majority of my class had never even tried sweet potatoes before. So I brought my Instapot in again. We made sweet potato casserole, and they really liked the juice, they said, that was on them, but obviously that was like the butter and sugar. But it was just fun to see them trying different things that maybe they wouldn't try at home.
You had any trouble with the deer getting the sweet potatoes?
Yes, actually in the same bed, we had snow peas
Okay.
and the deer ate the snow peas, and they would eat the sweet potato leaves,
Yes.
but we were able to save these.
We fenced them in over the summer. We have 2 fenced in beds.
Say,
So,
oh, they love mine and I'm right there.
yes.
All right, so in science, we have been talking about how to care for the garden community and what kind of creatures we might encounter when we go outside and how it's their home and how to be, mindful of that. So the basil in the garden is bountiful. And so after Mrs. Ward's class made pasta sauce and sweet potatoes, I took the kids outside and we harvested some basil and we made pesto. So I brought in the Cuisinart and garlic and Parmesan cheese and all the fun things. And it was really great for the kids to learn more about herbs. They smelled the basil, they got to smell the rosemary that's also growing in the garden, and they liked how it smelled like a Christmas tree, the rosemary did, and how the basil smells so fragrant. Some of the kids liked the basil, not everybody. And Mr. Cedar happened to be in the building that day, so he was able to come down, and his grandson smelled the basil and didn't want to try it. It was a little garlicky for some of the kids, but it was very fun for
I
us.
loved it.
It was a fun time. Here's a picture of the basil and the rosemary and the beautiful flowers that were planted. Everything just thriving at this time of year. So we look forward to this year's 3rd graders planting the garden for the upcoming 2nd graders that will be in 3rd grade. And it's just a very neat tradition to pass on to the kids. So.
And as I stated earlier, none of this would be possible without our community support and our partners. And so I want to welcome Nancy Bevan up here from Community Roots. She's kind of been working with Twin Oak Elementary since the inception of the outdoor education program. And so I want to give her an opportunity to share a little bit about what her organization has done with Twin Oak and continues to do as well.
Okay, thanks. Well, hello there. My retirement They kind of ballooned out of control. I'm enjoying the heck out of it. And I will say, when I was working in the food service department, the USDA was promoting the farm to school program. I just was in it, like dipping my toe in it a little bit on my end of it. Wasn't really well developed. They just really started in Ohio about 10 years ago, and it's been 8 years since I've been gone, so that last couple of years was just starting up. So I thought, when I heard about this, maybe I could help the next person that came along to develop the program a little more. Community Roots is a 501(c)(3) here in town. They are down at the old Glass Garden Greenhouse there on West Gambier Street. That started up about 2015. I knew some of the people that were involved with it socially, so after I retired, I was like, I'd like to get back into gardening. It was something I've done since I was a little kid, and I didn't want to tear up my own yard, so I thought I'd go down there and use their facilities. And long story short, they came to me and said, hey, we got this possible grant to do a farm to school program with some of the teachers here in town. Would you be interested in helping with that? And I did say yes. So their mission, is to be a part of the community, to use the gardens for therapeutic purposes, educational purposes, recreational purposes, and we do have a lot of different things going on there. Supporting projects, we did get grants for putting in some handicapped accessible beds. We do have poop houses we're building. You can see we're here, we had some of the group out helping build the raised beds out at Twin Oak. We have a seed library at Mount Vernon Public Library. And we also have done some other things where we just, buying stuff for ourselves, tools. And our team players, there's a lot of people in Knox County that are really interested in getting students more involved with farming, agricultural education, and gardening. And they've been a big help. I'm involved with a lot of these groups. I do work with Tanner out of SNAP-Ed, but Knox Public Health with their Get Healthy Knox program, and also just some different things that are going on. We worked at the Learning Center quite a bit last winter with Transition U, and had a really nice invitation to graduation this spring, which was really sweet. And those kids had done a lot with us for our seed library, packing seeds, and coming out to the garden even and helping us mulch things and dig things. So there's a lot going out at that little place there. USDA, their goals here, pretty much what they're already doing at Twin Oak. I mean, they fulfilled all the goals as far as getting the kids to do everything that they just said they were going to do. So it's kind of a mission accomplished type of thing, and I'm really, really happy to see that. There's our two superhero teachers who spent a good afternoon helping build raised beds. But we also had some grant successes. We had a planning grant that I did not write, but walked in onto and reused some of the money that wasn't spent due to COVID issues. Some of the travel money and whatnot that was never used, we used to make the first 2 raised beds at Twin Oak. We did get an implementation grant where we got another close to $5,000 and bought a whole bunch of equipment, classroom books and whatnot for Twin Oak. And they did have a chance to go, there is an Ohio School garden group run by 4-H, and they have a conference every year, so we had attendance fees for that. We were granted that money from Tanner through SNAP-Ed for another bed, and it just recently got a Whole Kids Foundation grant for $3,000. We're going to do 4 more raised beds and buy a shed to contain all the equipment that is now floating around in everybody's classrooms. So that was my thing, and if anybody has any questions about community roots, please contact me. We're here, we're willing to work with anybody in the district and get more programs going. And I think this is a basic testimony, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. And so as you can see, it's pretty robust, and over $10,000 in grants that we've received to kind of build where we are now. However, we're not where we want to be yet. We're continuing to expand the opportunities, and this year we're doing so by including other grade levels with the new raised beds that we have. We're going to have other grade levels participating in the outdoor ed as well. But really, I think it's important that we hear from the mouths of babes. And here we have Corbin here to share a little bit. He's a current 4th grader, but he's talking about his experience in 3rd grade and kind of how it changed maybe some of his thinking about Basil in particular.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I also have a question. So, you have been tell me about your love for Basil, and is your mom What's your favorite way to have Basil?
We got. And that's what it's all about, allowing our students to experience something new and try new things as well while also learning. And so I want to, I like to give credit where credit's due, and our 3rd grade team has been incredible in implementing this. Nancy from Community Roots is a wonderful partner, and all of our many other partners too that have supported us. And at this time, we'll go ahead if there are any questions that you would like to ask.
I just think what you're doing is awesome
Yeah.
because it's a life skill that these kids are learning. And when they become adults and parents, they might have gardens of their own. So it's really a neat thing that you're doing. And hearing Corbin was just.
What planting are you thinking about for the future for the children to start learning about? Is there anything new that you're going to introduce?
Well, we really like to just ask the kids what they, would like to plant in there. And kind of we go off of that.
Okay.
Like this year, we tried the sweet potatoes, just something a little bit different. And so if they want to do the same things, that's okay. We also let them pick, encourage them to try different things as well.
I think the big thing too is, when we talk about farm to table, right now we're talking about farm to table for our third grade students who are getting to experience this. But we really want to expand it to farm to table for all of our students in our building so they can experience some of the new vegetables, new herbs that we're growing as well, to be a part of that too.
One of our former retired teachers, Jerry Stahl, is a font of knowledge about farming, and he relates really well to children. So you might want to contact him and see if he'd like to come in and talk a little bit. I mean, I learned a lot from him just recently about cover crops, which I didn't quite understand until he explained it to me. But I'd also like to say that I agree with him, but I think all of our teachers are a masterpiece.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, they are. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So is the plan that this will be in other schools then, once it's established at Twin Oak, or is it in other schools now? And
So right now, we being from Twin Oak, we focus on solely what is happening at Twin Oak in terms of this particular curriculum that we're using. And so really it would be up to the other schools to really get that buy-in to begin that. But I do know that Nancy and some of our community partners would be more than willing to help. And we've talked about it too, getting some of the other buildings.
so right now, not in the other schools?
Right now, we're aware of.
Breaking ground?
Yes.
No pun intended.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Mateo's here.
Good afternoon. This is a short update on what's going on at the school. It's the end of the quarter, so the grading period is wrapping up for that, as well as our fall sports. Volleyball went 16-7, and the tour starts on Tuesday at the home, so it's here. Spencer Hughes made it to districts in golf, so that's great. And cross country had OCCs on Saturday. We had 4 commended students, so our cross country team is doing great, as always. So Powder Puff is on October 30th, so we're working on that and preparing people and getting them tickets and stuff. We're preparing to sell tickets, and choir also had their concert last week. It's just a short update.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hello. I know I came in I think it was August. So again, I'm Jessica McCoy. I am the president for MBEA this year. So I wanted to come in. We recently finished our new enrollment period. So our treasurer has now, finalized all those details, all the paperwork, and sent that off to OEA. So just like for your information, we're really excited. We were able to welcome 14 new members into MBEA this year. So our membership is sitting at 263 members, which is about a 97% engagement rate across everyone who is eligible to join MBEA. So again, still just holding really strong membership within the district. And if it's okay, I'd love to share some awards that we have recently recognized within the association. So it's about 4 times a year. We were able to get a grant last year, which has been wonderful. We've been able to get all sorts of goodies for the membership the last couple years. And part of that grant is we wanted members to be able to recognize other members for the excellence and things that are happening within the district. So 4 times a year, members can nominate other members to kind of get this excellence award is what we called it. And as a winner, we're able to give them $50 worth of goodies to spend on any classroom supplies. Some teachers have purchased items for like class PBIS stores, so incentives to use within the classroom. So the first round of nominations closed last Friday, and I just want to, if you're okay, I would like to read what kind of the nomination submissions were. So we had 3 winners. One of the winners was Andrea Sweeney, who's an intervention specialist at Dan Emmett. So I don't have record as far as who nominated each person, but this person wrote that Andrea was my mentor teacher when I did my student teaching. She continues to be one of the first people I go to if I need to discuss something or to get another perspective. She's an active member in our school, serving as VP on our PTO. For years, she has helped run our school summer reading program. This year, she's worked with our librarian to bring back the interactive get-togethers during the summer as part of the program. Andrea cares for all students, not just those who pass through her classroom, and she does everything in her power to improve their time while at Dan Emmett. So again, just like going above and beyond, showing that leadership quality throughout the whole district. Another winner was Lori Zolman, who is a kindergarten teacher at Wigan Street. This person wrote that Lori is the most unassuming yet highly skilled kindergarten teacher. Her knowledge of child development is amazing, and she's always willing to share that knowledge. Her guidance is invaluable to our school. She's also very informed and cognizant of all social emotional needs of children as well as adults. She always has a calming voice and a soothing soul, and she's greatly appreciated by everyone at Wigan Street. And finally, our 3rd winner for this first round is Jen Insminger, who actually was a new member and new to the district this year. She is our TESOL teacher for the middle school and high school this year. This person wrote that Jen is a wonderful addition to the middle school and high school this year as she is supporting our ELL students. This year I have several ELL students, and Jen has been very helpful in brainstorming strategies and techniques that help these students succeed, all while they are learning the English language. Jen is helpful and flexible to the whole team in the support that she is providing, all while making genuine connections with these students. So again, just kind of wanting to recognize some of our membership. And these are members who have been nominated by other members. So we know like teachers go above and beyond in everything, every single day. So it's nice to be able to kind of recognize each other along the way. So.
Very nice.
Do they know that they won this already?
So we just had our executive committee meeting this afternoon. They're watching. They'll just be getting their email this evening. So thank you.
Thank you. Mike's not here.
And we do have one public participation participant, Carol Skinner.
Good evening, Mr. Cedar. Thank you. I am here representing the Knox County Citizens for Accountability. You know us, we've been here regularly. I am Carol Skinner. I am speaking for Melody and Roger. They were not able to be here tonight, so thank you. I wanted to start out by, first of all, again, I know we keep saying this, but appreciate so much your willingness, especially Mr. Cedar, to work with us and help coming up with solutions. Your recent letters, met with Melody and Roger. We really, really appreciate that. It's helped, I think, alleviate some of our stress, or not stress, but anxiety, knowing what's going on. We know you're really busy. A couple things that I do want to just ask questions about. On the letter that you just sent to us, we were really pleased to see that some more books have been addressed. And looking at those this weekend, there were a couple that appear to still be on the shelves. That would be Sex is a Funny Word and Blue Exorcist are still being checked out. It looks like the others have been moved on to the high school, which is great. We've talked here, we're not about banning books. We're here about protecting children and having age-appropriate books. So thank you. And so our question is, what is the plan for making sure that those books, as they're moved along, are moved along, I guess. And then you did a wonderful presentation about looking for a way to identify books by age appropriateness. And I didn't know, and you can address us later, but I just wanted to pose the question of where is that process, and have you been able to identify, I know there's a lot of systems out there that give different scores for books. Have you been able to, because I don't think that was in our last letter, figure out that system? Because we know, we've just gone through and there's about 100 books right now, and that's only partial that are for high school age. Obviously, by the system that we looked at, which is arbitrary, I understand that. So that was one of our questions, maybe you're going to present that tonight, I don't know. Where are we at in that process? And then just wanted to again say, we're here to do whatever we can do in the process. I know that this is sort of a little cumbersome, but I think we were all kind of shocked maybe the first night when Melody read, what our middle schoolers are being exposed to. We're just like parents and grandparents that want this to be a safe, and we do too, a safe place where our kids can come and do wonderful programs where they can be educated and learn basics. And so, just wondering where we are in that process. And again, what we can do to be a part of that. I mean, we're doing the part that we think we can do right now. So that's just a few of our questions. So we look forward to continuing to work with you, and we really do appreciate what you are doing for our students and the work that you're doing. So thank you so much.
And we have no board items for discussion, but we do have some additions and deletions.
We do. We have a number of additions, actually. You're going to find these under business. We got one facility use addition, the approval of a contract with North Central Ohio ESC, and we do have one salary change notice. So those have been reflected today, and we wanted to make sure that those were there for you, and they're highlighted, of course, in your board update. Under superintendent's report, I do have a short district update, of which maybe a little bit will answer a question about where we're at and some things. And then after our update, when we start into the business portion, I know some of you are ready to get on out of here, so we'll kind of let you do that. But I thought maybe I would just share this. It is kind of the fall time of the year, and so I had fun just kind of finding a new little thing. So these are just some October items of interest. As Mateo alluded to, we are at the end of the first 9 weeks. On Thursday, we'll have already been in school for 45 days already. So with the end of the first 9 weeks also marks our first professional development day for teachers. So we have a teacher in service this Friday. There will be no school for students on this coming Friday, as teachers will engage in professional development in the morning, and they'll begin to prepare work on grades and prepare for the second 9 weeks at the later part of the day. Another reminder, parent-teacher conferences are coming up. We'll have that before we get together next as a board. Wednesday, November 1st, all of our buildings are engaged in parent-teacher conferences from 5 to 8. And then on Thursday, November 2nd, our kindergarten really kind of takes our K through 5, they take on a longer day of 10 to 8, of course, with lunches and dinner in there. The upper levels, 6 through 12, they go from 10 to 5. And the reason they go 10 to 5 is they have another spring opportunity later where they have a parent-teacher conference, a 3-hour parent-teacher conference later. But that's right around the corner too, within a 2-week period of time. And we think that's a great time for parents and teachers to connect on how their students are doing. The fall newsletter is off to the printer. We're looking for that to come back. It's something we send out to all box holders in Mount Vernon City School District. It's looking like it might be a 12-page newsletter again. There's so many really wonderful things that are going on. Again, we send that out to about 15,000 box holders, and I know that folks enjoy getting that. What they'll see inside that newsletter is the next item. It's our Senior Citizens Luncheon. And so every fall and spring, we have a senior citizens luncheon where we bring our seniors in, and they get an opportunity to sit down and share a lunch together with each other, but also with our students, our high school students. And I think that's really, it's just really a neat thing to see, how they all interact. And then we usually bring them to the auditorium and just share a couple things that are going on throughout the district. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't say that we'll be leaving the next day after this, November 15th, to Washington, D.C. Several folks from East Elementary are going to be recognized as a National Blue Ribbon School. Only one of 19 schools in the state of Ohio have gotten this recognition. And so, and it's for exemplary, high-performing schools. So that's pretty special. That's all right.
So sorry.
Happens to all of us.
My grandkids.
If you want to answer, we can all do a phone call. And then the last page that I have is just other items of interest. I got an opportunity to meet with all of our librarians last week. And we had a really good meeting where we talked about the guidelines that we had developed along the way, and we did develop guidelines at the elementary, middle, and high school. I would be remiss if I didn't say, and I know there was a partial article that came out, and sometimes it just isn't as clear as when you're at some place. And so I would just say I'm really proud of our librarians. We have some who have been doing it for many, many, many years, and we have others who are really new. And yet the idea of developing some library selection guidelines were meant to be a benefit, not some sort of an indictment that they didn't know how to do their job. And so it was really important for me to clarify that not only with them, but also to provide just some universal guidance as we went through. So we got a chance to look at the elementary, middle school, high school guidance. They all felt very comfortable with those things. We also talked about 2 different parent permission forms that we're going to unfold. One is for those parents who want to have a little further awareness of what their children are getting. I think we have an awesome system now where if a student checks out a book, their parents get an email. But for those parents who want to go one step further, they'll be able to check out a book, but instead of the child getting the book, it'll be held on hold. And that same email will go home with a note in the email, saying your child has chosen book X, and we need your approval, and we'll give it to them. On the other hand, we developed a second permission form for parents who are really very comfortable with their students reading books maybe even more mature, and they have those conversations with their child. And so maybe there is a middle school student who their parents believe they can read that high school book. And we want to make sure that we have a route for that parent and that student as well. So that's kind of where we're at. Based upon some board action we made last board meeting, we did have the middle school go through a number of books that were brought to us as challenges, and they were very specific. I think we had 6 of them, and we have addressed those 6 books. How we'll address 100 books just because of an age piece, we've got to work our way through that and see what that looks like. The School-Based Health Center have a meeting on Wednesday with representatives from nationwide about the potential expansion to include students from MBNU and the Career Center. So it's really going well. Obviously, our goal would be that if, as much as it can get utilized as possible would be awesome. And so even MBNU, who, you know, they have a lot of students who live over on campus, they have a nurse, but where do they send students who need that extra care? And so we're having those kind of conversations. So kind of wanted to keep you up to date there. And then under the idea of a safety update, I recently met with the Mount Vernon Police Department, Mayor Matt Starr, and city officials, and we talked about school crossings. There was an article, I think, in Knox Pages that talked about the school crossings. And so we've been involved in a number of different grants over the years with Safe Schools grants, where they'll go in and put sidewalks and crossings and so on. They're in the process of redoing that grant, but it does take some time. But we've identified an area where we had a really scary concern. If you go Martinsburg Road, which is just outside of where we're at today, out to Twin Oak, between Martinsburg Road and Newark Road, there are very few sidewalks and very few crossings. And through our conversations that we had last week, where they're really going to back it up and look at school zones and speed to slow people down through those areas, looking at some additional crossings there so that we can cross students. The challenge is we're crossing them over in a lot of times just to yards because there are just no sidewalks. Had an opportunity to meet with Todd Conant, and we believe, and Cheryl Splain actually brought this up to me, so it was really neat to have that correspondence with her. And we believe that we can actually take a couple of our buses and have a couple other drop-offs between Martinsburg Road and Newark Road. Generally, we only transport within a mile. State law says 2 miles, but we go all the way to a mile, which means we transport more kids. So generally, those kiddos wouldn't have been impacted, but because of the lack of sidewalks and crossings up to this point, we're going to try to take an extra step. We have about 50 students who live in that kind of triangular section. And we're going to send them some notifications saying if they would choose, this bus would drop off at these locations. So I feel like we can kind of help support that safety piece. And then the last thing I have here is this morning, Danville, they're on like an in-service day today. They've come to a number of our reunification drills that we've had, and they want to use the Energy Fieldhouse as a reunification site for Danville local schools as well. So they went through the whole process. We had people in there. It was set up identically, basically, to how we have it. And the Career Center is also doing that. We had East Knox and Fredericktown there as well. It may end up evolving as a reunification site for Knox County, where we can, really hone those services. God forbid we'd ever have to use them. And I hope we never have to use a reunification site, but if we did, we've got this commonplace. So again, those are items of interest in this section.
Could you clarify something for me, please, Superintendent Cedar? In regards to those books that you mentioned from the middle school, those were moved to the high school library, correct?
There were many books that were moved to the high school due to age appropriateness,
Right.
yes.
Okay, so they're still in our library system, but they're at the high school.
They're at the high school.
Thank you.
All right, before we jump into the business portion of the meeting, you're welcome to stay. But maybe before we leave, Mandy's sitting back there with a big smile. She should have a big smile. Mandy, can you share with the board kind of what's going on with Lucy? And that's pretty special.
Yeah, it is pretty special. So yeah, I'm glad this is a surprise, but I'm glad to share. So my daughter Lucy has Down syndrome, and she has been in Mount Vernon City Schools since she was a kindergartner and all the way up. And she loves soccer, and she has played soccer for the YMCA when she was little. She did Sting camps when they used to have the Sting Juniors, and she has played on the girls' high school team. They had their last JV home game, and she played the entire game right there at forward. And so it was really great. And so we've been very thankful for that. And over the summer, she had the opportunity to try out for the first U.S. national team for people with Down syndrome. And so they have different national teams. And so we went to New Jersey, and she tried out for the team, and she made the team. And so that has been really exciting. Their very first tournament was supposed to be in Brazil, but unfortunately it was quite a shock and quite a traumatic week for all of us, but it was canceled. But now their eyes are on Turkey in March. The trisomy games are in Turkey. So, but this is, which is can be expected. The first time that you do something, this is the first team that will be representing the USA of all people with Down syndrome. So it's very exciting, and we've just been so thankful for the high school, the Key Club, the athletic department has been really supportive of her, and it's just been a really positive experience, and I'm really proud of her.
And she's the only one from Ohio, correct?
Only one from Ohio. There's kids from California and Oregon and all over, but she's the only one from Ohio.
Yeah.
And I think her parents support
Yeah.
that.
But really all of the things that Mount Vernon has done for her to be able to be included in sports and included in the classroom has made this possible. So it makes us very thankful as parents too.
Thank you. Now, if you want to see the papers or whatever, you are more than welcome to do so.
Thanks so much. Thank you, guys.
We have a number of items for board approval tonight. The first is home and community school student participation. And then the second item is some board policy approvals that we brought to you a month ago for first reading. Again, most of these are just the changing of verbiage and words, especially when it went from Ohio Department of Education to the Department of Education and Workforce. And so we have to kind of keep up on those things. So really, those two items for your approval tonight.
I would entertain a motion to approve those two items as read.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Regola-Dye. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Are there any questions? David, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Regola-Dye?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. And we have student achievement liaison report, and I have a couple articles I'd like to, did you get my?
I did, yes.
The first article is about homework and if it's important and how much should parents help. And this is really a hot topic because many parents question its effectiveness to enhance student learning. And others are concerned that too much homework time impedes opportunities for physical activity and play. So what does the research say? It says that there are higher scores on academic standardized tests for middle school and high school students who do homework, but there was no correlation for elementary students. But non-academic benefits are also important. It builds responsibility, time management skills, and task persistence. And it can increase parental involvement, but too much does interfere with physical activity. So what's the right amount of homework? And the research shows that between 1.5 and 2 hours for high school is about right. 1 hour or less for middle school, and a minimal amount for elementary, such as approximately 20 minutes. And the aim is to build self-regulation and independent work skills for elementary students especially. And parents' help is beneficial if they focus on general monitoring, guidance, and encouragement, and if they allow the children to generate the answers on their own. And they should only help when asked and create structure and routine in a place that's free from distractions and provide necessary materials and rules to do their homework. The positive is that they can help their children view homework as an opportunity to learn and improve their skills, and they can encourage them to persist in challenging assignments and, of course, praise them. That's really important. The second article is on a 4-day work week. I hesitated to mention this. The article is about Flagview School District in northeastern Nevada, and they've slashed their Friday and lengthened Monday through Thursday. So it's not like they've just cut one day off. They've added hours elsewhere to make up the difference. And their attempt is to deal with their chronic absenteeism, which had become a real problem since the pandemic, and also ongoing staffing shortages. Other schools are adding hours or days, and these time experiments, we won't know the outcome for several years until we can go back and see how it impacted student learning. But for some districts with major industries that have a 4-day work week, it makes a little more sense for families, for the students to have a 4-day work week and school also. The negative is the food insecurity of some students and children who no longer have that support, and also children with disabilities that lack that extra support that the schools provide. So those are a couple of negatives. And I don't think we have any intention of doing that. That would be good for us to know what's going on. The third article is about students' networking and social skills and how vital they are for jobs. And it points out that 83% of students aren't confident enough to seek career advice from adults in their lives. And the article focuses on AI, artificial intelligence, and how the future of that is going to demand an increase in social skills. They're going to be a prerequisite. And their importance is projected to skyrocket 26% across all industries. And these skills are also important in getting a job, and that teachers need to help our students boost their confidence by providing ample opportunities to practice, by engaging students in dialogue and networking opportunities. And they suggest using Connected Futures, which is a free resource-informed online curriculum that helps students connect with supportive, non-parental adults. And I would say we need to vet those before using them, but that's an option. And also it's important for students to feel some expertise in the process so that they feel comfortable with the interaction. And simple suggestions were that they can show visitors who might come to the school, show them around, and show that they have some part in skill that the individuals don't have. So the payoff was more students landed summer internships when they had real-world experiences for 8th graders. And that was a value of Apprentice Learning, a nonprofit that provided real-world experiences for students. And social skills are career lifelines. So this was an article by Robert Markle, who is a research manager at Christensen Institute. And then the last article was the research brief. And again, it's about artificial intelligence, which I had an opportunity to see demonstrated this past weekend, and it's pretty awesome. So I think we're, maybe a lot of you have already used it, but I had not up to that point. But they say there are a couple resources that teachers might be interested in. There's TeachFX, and it's a digital mentoring platform that provides personalized feedback and insights on classroom practices and student engagement. And for example, it records a teacher's lesson, and it generates a detailed feedback report on the teacher's style, the number of questions that they ask, the type of questions, who's called on, and the balance during the lesson between the teacher and the students talking. So that's pretty impressive. There's another one called Talk Moves, and this provides reflection regarding instruction, such as feedback on how many times the teacher followed up with effective classroom practice with another engaging action, such as asking the student to make a case for a point that was presented or elaborating on a point that was made. So these are some resources that teachers would have if they want to do their own evaluation, and their privacy is protected because they're doing it themselves. So that's kind of neat too. So any questions that anyone might have?
No, but that was a lot of information on this, in this success, especially with the 4-day week. I have some concerns with that myself, but hopefully we won't ever have to.
And their community is unique because they have a lot of industries that are on the 4-day week. So
It's just kind of started here in Ohio. The conversation is growing around it. I was at the BASA conference last week, and I went to a session on the 4-day week. It's being done in Cincinnati. And I think some of those same questions you have, they had to try to answer to move to a 4-day week. I think a lot of us will be really interested to see how that unfolds. It's a 4-day week for the majority of students, but they also provide daycare for students on day 5. They bring all of their aides in because the aides are going to work a 5-day week. Teachers are all in school on those days. They don't work from home. And they do feed kids still on those days. So there's some interesting nuances relative to that 4-day week that I think you're going to see it continue to grow a little bit, as well as, and I know this is something Adrian and I have talked about, switching of times. Again, that's going to be, you talk about chronic absenteeism, especially at the upper levels. My son is now at a school in South Carolina where the elementary starts at 7:30 and the high school starts at 9. And it's being successful. And so those are some kind of cutting edge things maybe we'll be talking about soon.
And we all know that younger kids get up really, really early.
That's right. They're more alert in the morning. They really are.
And our teenagers like to sleep.
No items for board action in this section.
I'm not really going to go into a whole lot of detail. I know I've communicated with you folks about some information that I got about the state funding discussions as it pertains to valuations. That still hasn't been 100% decided, so we won't really discuss that. This is the reconciliation. You can see that we ended up in the month of September with 18 million. We did move some money from the bank, the regular bank, over into the investment account that with Meter in order to get a little bit better return on that money. So we'll be able to see that in the future. You can see even with the money where it was, we're still within 3 months, we still have already $363,000 in interest. So that's good, and it should be much better than that going forward. These numbers match up with where we thought we would be based on the projections that were presented in May. I don't have any changes to those at this point in time, but once as we said, once the state gets their information as far as what they're going to do with the valuations, once we get the valuations, which I was expecting in December, when we spoke with the mayor the other day, he was hearing that it might not be even until January because they've got to get they're still getting the new construction figures, which will obviously take. So it may be, the forecast that you're going to see from me in November is going to look a lot like the forecast that you saw in May, because I really don't know anything. So to come in here and give you some new numbers, they're not going to really be based on anything other than this. So once we get those, I'll bring a new forecast. I won't wait till May. As soon as we get something that we have some details, we'll bring that in. But in November, in order to get it submitted to the state, which we have to do, it'll probably be pretty much what we had in May for the approval. And then beyond that, the rest of the pictures, this is the meter. Now this does show that this one is the, just scroll back down just a little bit, Bill. Well, up a little bit, I'm sorry. Okay, the first one, yeah, that's for the one down. No, I'm sorry, up, yeah, there. Okay, so this one is, this is the city, this is our main account. This is the one that we had moved, we moved $5 million over there. There was like 1.7 before, so now we've added that 5 million. So you can see that that's in there. And because I haven't really had a chance to do a lot of this before, we had some money. When I was the treasurer prior, when I talked to these people, I said, okay, I'm sending you $5 million. What are you going to do with it? And so they went into a lot of detail to explain that they have these experts and they shop it out. They don't just, pick numbers out of the air and find out who they want. So, and you can see that because we have public money, we're very restricted, and you can see that most of ours is in government agencies and bonds and so forth, which are very safe. There's not, when you purchase those, you purchase them for a percentage, and that's what you're going to get. So it's not like, oh, good, the stock market's up, we're going to get money. That's not how it works, because if the stock market's down, then that's not so good. So there's no risk involved with this, but we do have experts who do these things who are doing it. And then if you want to go on down to the next one, this is the self-insurance fund. There's still 1.5 million in there from them, and I'm not going to do anything with that until we talk to the insurance people and see what our trends look like, because we haven't really had a meeting with them. We're in the process of setting that up now. So there has a healthy balance in it, but then the rest of that report, I think, is just, that's all of our funds and how much money is in each one. The next report, the next two reports is a list of receipts and a list of all the checks that we issued. So if you ever have a question about any of those. And then we have two donations, one to Pleasant Street from the R.C. Bobbitt Consulting, $1,000 for Guys with Ties, which I think is just such a cool program. When Teresa was explaining it to me, I thought it was really great. So, and then one to Student Services from the Christian Men's Breakfast, $1,500 for supplies for homeless students. So that's all great.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion then to approve those donated items.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Getzmann. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Whitman. Are there any questions? It's generous, very generous, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for keeping us updated on all of that valuation stuff. That was great information to read.
Mrs. Getzmann? Yes. Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Volodai?
Yes.
And Dr. Bennett?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. And Ms. Golodai, legislative
you.
liaison.
In the House, HB 187 will now head to the Senate. This bill would modify procedures by the tax commissioners to conduct property tax sales assessment ratio studies. Speaking of tax assessments. HB 74 would make changes to the state's technology systems and establish a cybersecurity and fraud advisory board. SB 113 affects the military selective service system guidelines. HB 250 is in regard to the military seal that some students would be eligible for. HB 214 is in regard to public school policies for staff member professional duties. HB 206 is in regard to the expelling of a student due to endangerment of others. SB 162 would require public schools to provide academic services to students who demonstrate limited math and English language arts skills. SB 168 would make some changes to verify a variety of issues in public education. There were quite a few, so I wasn't going to go through all of those. SB 153 temporarily modifies the method for farmland for tax purposes, evaluating farmland. And other bills under consideration, HB 183, single-sex bathrooms, HB 47 regarding AEDs use, HB 139 affects school officiating, and the State Board of Education or the Department of Education and Workforce duties and existence are in limbo due to the SBOE lawsuit that's going on. It's temporarily on hold. And I was scrolling through the other day and happened upon testimony that was being done at the Ohio State House in regards to SB 162, the Academic Intervention Services for State Assessments. And Senator Brenner, who was sponsoring the bill, talked about that 5% of schools would be required to report to the DEW. And Tutor Ohio has some local and state monies to help with that, possibly. But the problem is that there's no supply for funding for any of the changes. It was said that some of our schools still have ESSER funds, and but the problem is that this bill would not go into effect until 2025, which by then we may not have the funds anymore that we've been using as much money for all of the programs we've used. And then another senator introduced 168, which is in regard to licensure requirements for schools. Are there any questions or comments or duties you wish me to perform?
I think there's a lot going on relative to taxes, and taxes so impact us as a district. And so we're kind of watching that pretty closely. I know that organizations are having us reach out, and because that can go one of 3 or 4 different ways right now. This one right here is getting testimony right now about putting seatbelts on all school buses. And, you know, that sounds like a, great idea. Obviously, it was a real tragedy what took place in Springfield. And that's where this is coming from, is would seatbelts have made a difference? And they haven't had seatbelts on buses for, well, forever. We've been very fortunate to not have lots of those kinds of incidences happen. The cost of a bus would rise immensely, and the cost to equip a bus in its current state to have seatbelts, we'd really have to work through that whole thing. However that comes out, I think you're going to see that Governor DeWine has really taken this one by the mantle and is going to work this one through. So how that'll impact us, I'm not sure.
I know he has a committee that was formed regarding bus safety overall.
It was just estimated that it will raise the cost of a new bus by $20,000. We're already sitting at about $110,000 a bus. Tough conversations for sure. Board items for approval in this section. These are our facility requests, and you've got a whole list from Battle of the Books to the OSU extension. Believe it or not, we're transitioning into basketball kinds of seasons. And then, of course, this is the one we brought in late, and I think they're anticipating bad weather tomorrow, perhaps. And the little Colt football flag guys are getting ready to finish up, and so they might go in and have a kind of a fun practice inside if the weather's not right. So those facility requests for your consideration.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve those 5 items.
So moved.
Mr. Ward, do I have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Ms. Regola-Dye. Were there any questions? Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Regola-Dye?
Yes.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzman?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. And under student services, we have one item.
We have no items for information. We did add an item tonight to this agenda, or it would have been empty as well. North Central Ohio ESC will provide special education services to our hearing impaired students. So we continue to find ourselves at the short end of therapists in a variety of different capacities, all the way up to school psychologists. If you have young people in the college level, these are fields that they could land jobs right away, and we scramble to try to find ways to fill in gaps and holes.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve that item.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Workman. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mrs. Getzman. Any questions? Did everyone have a chance to read it? Okay, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzman?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Regola-Dye?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, personnel.
Under certificated and licensed staff, just one item for information, salary change notice. Items for board approval tonight are some employment of substitute teacher contracts. This is usually quite a large list that we put out. They are ever so invaluable to have substitute teachers. We still find ourselves in days when we're just, right on the edge and not being able to cover without lots of inner workings to make things work. So we welcome substitute teachers. We've got a number of different stipends using Haggerty training for our staffs outside of the school day, and so there are stipends for those kind of things, and those have been ESSER funded to help in those areas. And we have one volunteer for basketball. So those items for your consideration.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the certificated licensed staff.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Regola-Dye and Mr. Ward. And were there any questions? Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Regola-Dye?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzman?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. And classified staff.
Final section tonight is classified staff. No items for information. Number of items for board approval. The employment in section 1 for a 7-hour cook. We do have our health insurance committee. We have 3 members from both OPSI and MVEA. And again, additional substitutes. We'll continue to try to keep that pool strong. And I did have 1 resignation for tonight's agenda.
Okay, I'm going to entertain a motion to approve the staff items. Classified staff items.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Gulli. Do I have a
Second.
second? Were there any questions? Hearing none, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Gulli.
Yes.
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Mr. Ward.
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann.
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Yes, motion carried. The board appointments, any members of the board?
I haven't been first for a while.
So you may go first.
Thank you. Thank you for those who came and for those who stayed. Appreciate it. And those who may be watching at home. Today I was thinking about what I'd seen on TV yesterday at the State House. And all I could think about was our educators and what they are required to do, and more and more is put on their shoulders, and they do it. And it's the same with all of our staff, whether it be from our superintendent to our substitutes. We trust our children with them, and they keep at it, no matter what the obstacle may be. And I'm just so proud to be part of this system that puts children first. And we support our community, and the community supports us back. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ward, would you like to follow that?
Sure. Thank you to everybody, for being here tonight, and for those watching at home. This past week, I had the privilege of attending a parent meeting at the middle school. Was really curious about how many would show up, or how all of that would go. But I would say that there was clearly in excess of 50 parents that showed up that evening for what turned out to be a pretty positive, upbeat, I think something that the parents felt really good about at the end of the day. So I was really proud that our district was offering such an opportunity to the parents. And I was hearing that they're going to be offering one in the springtime as well. And I'd like to encourage our elementary administrators, teachers, especially those and parents of 5th grade students who are going to be coming to the middle school, that they be aware that this is going to be coming up as an opportunity to commiserate with other parents who are dealing with 5th grade, 6th grade transitions. And I think it would be a big benefit to our parents and to our educators. So I was glad that our administration helped make this possible. It was great to see our middle school administration there taking an active role in that, and I think everybody has came away with a really positive experience. So that was a good thing to witness.
Mr. Workman.
I'd also like to thank those listening in and are here as well. Hard to believe it's the end of the first quarter. Time does go by quickly, but I always enjoy hearing the school presentations, and that was really good tonight with Twin Oak. You can obviously tell the involvement that they have with the staff and the students, and it's always great when they're learning those life skills that they can take on with growing food, eating healthy food. That's really neat. And also like to congratulate Lucy on her venture. That's such a neat deal. I know it was unfortunate they can't go to Brazil, but I'm sure there'll be more opportunity. But congratulations to her. That's great.
Awesome. Mrs. Getzmann.
I would just echo what everyone else has said. Lucy was on my radar to mention tonight, so it was great to see her mom here. But that just solidifies the inclusiveness that we have within our district, that we are meeting and reaching all students. So that's exciting when we can educate all children, and that's exciting, and provide multiple opportunities for our kids to be a part of. Again, the Twin Oak event, again, is a broader view of how we view our community partners and how we can work together for our kids to learn. So it's just so important that we continue those relationships, and it's great to have those relationships in return, that we can have that open dialogue with all of our partners. So it's just
And
really
all the
exciting.
wonderful grants.
Absolutely, yes. That they've provided, we've written, and again, working collaboratively together.
And I'd also like to thank you all for staying and for coming this evening and sharing with us. And I don't know if everyone knows, it's National School Safety Month. So I'm very grateful for our school district, who I know Mr. Cedar and our safety director have gone above and beyond to make our schools safe for our kids. And I know our teachers and administrators and staff members are all very concerned about school safety. So that's something that's been on my radar this month. Also, I'm just very grateful to be a part of such a wonderful board. I'm very, very proud of all my board members. Thank you for your service. So, again, thank you for coming, and I think we need to go into executive session. Is that correct? So I would entertain a motion to do that.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Wood. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, and it's for the purpose, appointment of the committee.
The appointment and dismissal or discipline of an employee in the purchase of property.
Two items.
This is a really exciting way to
I was going to say,
Congratulations.
I didn't get
I thought you were
bothered.
asking if we were married to each other.
Oh.
No, I'm married, but not.
But I was just kidding. I'm just kidding. Don't get mad.
Oh, nobody's.